Welcome to the Stress Management Online Seminar. Thank you for taking the time to be here with me today as I go through the many strategies and resources to help reduce stress. Let's take a few moments now to reflect and write down a few points. Number one, which situations do you find most stressful? Secondly, how does stress usually affect you? Thinking about any of the physical, psychological, emotional, or spiritual responses. And lastly, what do you currently do to cope with stress? As we go through the slides, keeping in mind these questions and your response to them. What is the definition of stress? We talk about it all the time. Here is a classical definition. Stress is a positive or a negative reaction occurring when there is a substantial imbalance, perceived or real, between the environmental demand and the response capability of the individual. Here, I would like to remind students that stress is not a terrible word. We often have negative emotions or thoughts associated to stress. But in fact, we need a good dosage of stress in order to get us moving, get us to do activities, and doing them well. We'll get more into the optimal performance on the next few slides. Being a UW student, you are busy. No doubt your schedule is filled with lecture time, lab, study, extracurricular, cooking, laundry, and the list goes on. The list is task-oriented, which we can also refer to as demands that we must complete. Otherwise, it will surely add up. When we have excess of task and not enough coping strategies to cope with the amount of stress that can be built up, that's the high of demand. We may run the risk of feeling overloaded, reduce efficiency and performance. Hence, why creating balance is important to help us accomplish tasks and also have a healthy mental state. Take a look at this graph. It gives a good image of what stress can look like and what it can do for us. As I had mentioned briefly, stress is not entirely a negative thing. It only becomes that way when we tip over past the optimal level on the right-hand side. As you can see on the right side of the graph, you would likely to experience these behavior when you allow stress to build up and not do anything about it. On the other hand, if you looked over to the left side of the bell graph, near the bottom, you can see if there's not enough stress, you may feel bored and unmotivated. But as soon as you add a healthy measure of stress, your brain can be stimulated, be alert, engage in creativity, and be effective in the task that you are doing. Life goals. Balance. We all have relationship goals, career goals, roommate goals, and now we're looking at work-life balance goals. As you can see, too much or too little of stress does the mind and body not good. Let's try to get as close to the middle balance as possible, no matter how impossible or difficult it appears. Sources of stress. Take a look on this list. These are common sources of stress. First being transitional, particularly for first-year students, getting to know the rhythm of midterms, when to prepare for your studies, and time management. How much time to study for a particular course. Fear of the unknown. This is also very common and a very universal experience for many people, especially for university students like yourself. You are not alone in this thought and fear. Pressure to succeed. Not only students, but it basically applies to most humans. because of fear of failure. Self-doubt. When we don't monitor these thoughts closely and allow it to take its own form, we create the self-doubts in our mind that we cannot do it or we're not good enough, and so on and so on. Uncomfortable situations. Learning to cope with the stress is valuable because one time or another we find ourselves in these intense or uncomfortable situations. And if we develop and learn the tools to take care of it, we are better equipped to lessen the stress associated. Co-op interviews. This is another common source of stress with UW students. Not only are you required to do your coursework and study, during your co-op term you're obligated to do a few more extra work, such as preparing for applications and interviews, mixed with all the demands that you already have. Moving house, again closely linked with UW co-op structure. Looking for housing, packing, and unpacking can be very stressful time for students. Be aware of these particular examples, because even though it may be viewed as routine or it must be done, it can and it will put extra stress on your mind and body. If this is the case, it is very important to plan ahead for self-care and good time management to start out the logistics. Let's look at some protective factors when it comes to reducing stress and maintaining it at a healthy level state. Some fundamental basic things are physical activity for the body, meditation for the mind, healthy eating, regular eating to refuel the brain, having a healthy sleep hygiene schedule, having the skills to plan and time manage the demands of university, and able to continue to do the self-care activities such as pleasurable activities, social time, pleasure reading, or participating in an interest club. Take a few moments now to reflect and evaluate your own stress in this moment. Thinking about what are the causes you have to control and what causes you not to have control. How do you know your stress? What are your stress exhaustion symptoms? And once again, outlining that stress is inevitable. Even the good stuff can cause us a little stress. How do you know if you're stressed? We all experience and cope with stress differently. What are your early warning signs? That is to know that stress is building. Physical symptoms, tummy ache, headaches, tense shoulders. Emotional, feeling sad, maybe anger, irritability. Spiritual, not attending church, mosque, temple. Mental, exhaustion, long trains of thoughts, disconnected thoughts. Or relational, not wanting to connect socially with families or intimate partners. Here are some more physical signs of stress. Taking a look at this list, how many pertains to you? Next, we have emotional and mental signs of stress. Are any of these familiar? Coping with stress. Stress reduction strategies. First and foremost, preventing unmanageable stress before it gets bad. To monitor your emotion and physical response. to be in tune with how much demands are accumulating, and to ensure not to add unnecessary demands to an already busy schedule if possible. Secondly, problem solve it. What needs to be done now? What can be postponed? Who can help? Where can you get help and support? Whether it's academically through Student Success Office, peer tutors, classmates, or friends and family. Thirdly, reduce it. When stress is increasing, take a few deep breaths, and focusing on the breath can calm and relax the body. It also gives the mind a chance to not continue to go into loops on how much you need to do. Instead, breathing can give you a break from the chatter in your mind that's storming up. And lastly, adapt to it. To know that the amount of stress you're feeling is most likely temporary, as long as you can slowly chip away at the task or increasing the coping strategies, the overwhelming feeling will subside. Here's a list of strategies that are productive on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, counterproductive strategies are listed. Physical strategies. The fight or flight response. When you experience stress, the body produces hormones such as cortisol and neurotransmitters. Physiological responses to stress have been crafted by our evolution as species. And in prehistorical times, when a person encountered a life-threatening situation, such as being attacked by an animal, the body needed to handle the emergency immediately. And to do so, the body's physical energy is redirected in ways that can help us fight, flee, or freeze in response to any danger, which is why this reaction has come to known as the fight, flight, or freeze response. Life is different now, and while most of us seldom face immediate life-threatening dangers, such as attacking animals, we do face a magnitude of daily stressors, and the body doesn't always know the difference. And as a result, the fight, flight, or freeze response can arise due to being stuck in traffic, feeling overwhelmed at work, or worrying about our finances or health. How we respond has less to do with the actual event than how we make meaning of the event. If your brain perceives danger even when there isn't imminent physical threat, and this automatic reaction occurs repeatedly and remains unchecked, your level of stress can build over time. Strategies to alter the physical response to stress. What if you could become mindful of your stress reactions and learn to respond to them in a more constructive and harmonious way? When you become aware of the stress in your life and how it affects your body and mind, you can begin to develop skills to bring greater balance to your life and how you respond to stress. So once again, if your symptoms are physical, one of the strategies to combat that is doing something physical. Deep and slow breathing, some stretching exercises, yoga poses, guided imagery, and meditation. All those can help. Guidelines for practicing any form of deep relaxation. So take a moment here to pause, and we're going to practice a deep breathing exercise. Get into a comfortable position. Close your eyes if it's comfortable, and spread your feet slightly apart. Checking in with your head, your neck, your spine that are aligned. focus your attention on your breathing. Do not try to change your breathing for the moment. Become aware of how fast or how slow you're breathing. Whether you're breathing with your chest or your diaphragm. Notice whether there are any gaps or pauses between your inhalation and your exhalation. Now, put one hand on your upper chest and one hand on your tummy just below your rib cage. Relax the shoulders and hands. As you breathe in, allow the tummy to rise as you breathe out. Allow the tummy to flatten. There should be a little or no movement in the chest. Allow yourself a little time to get into a regular rhythm. It may help to imagine that you're breathing in, you draw half a circle with your breath around your body, and as you breathe out, you complete the other half of the circle. Allow your breath to become smooth, easy, and regular. Now, slow down on your breathing. And be conscious of a comfortable pause before allowing your breath to follow smoothly and easily. If any distractions, thoughts, or worries come into your mind, allow them to come. Then allow them to go, and bringing your attention back to breathing. Doing this for a few moments throughout the day can help you feel centered, decrease physical, emotional stress symptoms, and help you get back to center. Some other physical strategies. Healthy sleeping patterns. Our body likes routine. So sleeping at the same time and waking up at the same time, your body will thank you. Nutrition. Trying to eat 3 healthy meals a day, as best as you can. Breakfast being the most important meal of the day. And exercise. You may not be a gym person, but low impact exercise such as walking around campus or taking the stairs or walking just the longer route can help. Another strategy which many students enjoy is creating a gratitude journal. Every night or every other night, as part of your bedtime routine, writing down a few things that you're grateful for that day. And again, there's going to be days where it's easy to find things that are amazing, or sometimes a simple joy. Whether it's the sun peeking through, whether catching the bus as it's leaving, or sitting down with your favorite cup of tea, coffee, and people watching. Noticing even the slightest simple pleasure in life that made you smile. Having that awareness and able to write it down can really help with the stress that you're feeling that day or during the evening. And when days are tough, the days that are harder for you to see what you're grateful for or the simplicity of what made you smile, I encourage you to look around you to see what's already there. And maybe, just maybe, you'll see that simple pleasure and the gratitude that you have to be part of it. So in conclusion, what techniques will you use going forward? What are some of the things that you've done and it's worked before, but you've forgotten to use it? What are some of the things that you heard for the first time and you've never tried, but giving it a go? How will you apply them to situations you identified at the start of the semester? Remember, every moment is a new beginning. Next, how can you use them to combat the signs of stress you identified? And if there are any counterproductive coping strategies you're willing to change. And again, taking the moment to review all the stress reduction strategies that we've talked about here today on the seminar. Once again, thank you for taking the time to be with me today. I hope the resources and the strategies that's been provided for you today will offset the stress and help with your success in your academic and your personal life. Take good care.